Alright, so today we are going to be talking about credentialing and licensing. Some materials that you might need is obviously access to some websites while listening that I will be mentioning in during the presentation. You can look at them afterwards, or you can look at them during while you're listening. And another thing obviously is computer or electronic devices, so you can listen to this and refer back to this. Another thing is something to take notes on, maybe jot things down, so you write things down. And another thing is I will be providing a puzzle in this PowerPoint, and you can either take a screenshot of it and print it out, or you can just digitally do it, or you can do it on paper while we go through it. Alrighty. So the objectives of this presentation today is that after listening to it, that participants will be able to set up an account on NBCOT, to know how to apply for a limited permit in Alabama, and to obtain information on PDUs and CEUs to renew certifications and licenses. So the activity. So on the next slide that I'll be showing, it is a fill-in puzzle, which is pictured, and then next to it will be clues. And before I move on, I would like for you to pause this video once it is on the next slide, and I want you to jot down the answers to them and try to figure out which word goes where. And then after you complete it, then you can resume it, and we will go over it during this presentation. Alrighty now. And after you've done that, like I said before, we will go over the answers during and after this, at the end of the presentation, so be listening carefully because the answers aren't bluntly just kind of on the slides. So as we go, we are going to be talking about certifications. So the certification is a process of meeting eligibility requirements for and passing the national certification examination. And then the credentialing is the process of assessing and confirming the qualifications of a licensed or certified healthcare practitioner. The NBCOT exam is the nationally certified examination for all OTAs to take. The eligibility to get a certification is that you do have to complete an OTA program, an accredited OTA program, and as well as the fieldwork involved in the program. After that is said and done, you did all that requirement, then the next requirement would to be set up an NBCOT account. And that will be discussed further on in the PowerPoint. So the next would be the cost of the examination. So the cost of the NBCOT exam will be $515. If you failed it or you need to take it again, then after the $515, every time you take it after that is $385. And then I also want to discuss, while we're still here, is the standards of practice. So the standards of practice are the requirements that OTAs must follow in the delivery of occupational therapy services. Alright, now we are on the Create an NBCOT account. So, once you have logged onto the account, it's just www.nbcot.org, and right when that page pops up, there's a lot of there are instructions outlined in the handbook on the website, and there's also boxes where the instructions are as well on when that page pulls up. So after you visited the nbcot.org, you need to create a profile. So after you press the create profile, you'll click on I have never been an OTA or OTR, and then after that, some our boxes will come up, and they'll just put your name, address, and all that good stuff. You'll complete all that information, and then after that happens, you will verify and confirm your email. So after that is said and done, you want to keep that user and password. Keep that login because we will use it after, making the account for a ton of stuff. And then steps 3, 4, and 5 is just confirming the eligibility of, and then you can also apply for the exam in the MBCOT. Like I said, using that login information. And then after that, you just submit the academic verification documentation. Okay, how to schedule the test or the certificate, the MBCOT exam, certification exam. So to do that, you will need, like I was saying earlier, you have to graduate from an accredited OTA program. Well, after you graduate, you will receive an authorization to test letter, which is a letter that basically tells you that you did complete the OTA program, and after you completed the fieldwork that went with it as well, also known as ATTs. After that, you will, on that letter, it'll have instructions to contact any testing center, parametric testing center. So then you can schedule an appointment to take the test on a date and time. And then you will take the test, which is a 200 multiple choice question test in 4 hours. And then after that, the longest time of your life feels like is waiting for the results. And then once you do get the results, you either obviously pass or fail, but the minimum passing rate is 450. So if you get a 450 or above, you passed it. And like I was saying earlier, the cost, $515 the first attempt, and $385 for every attempt after the first, if you have failed the first time. Alrighty, cancellation, rescheduling, late arrivals, or a no-show. So, if you have let MBCOT know 30 or more business days, then there's nothing that happens. There's no fees, no ATT letter that you have to request a new one. The same goes 29 or fewer business days. The next one is 5 or more business days, or 5 or less business days, as well as fails to appear, arrives more than 15 minutes late, or arrives with incorrect form of ID. They are charged and will have to request another ATT letter. So you are charged $85 if any of those few things happen. And like I said, you have to request to reissue another ATT letter, which can be found on that MBCOT account. Like I was saying, keep that login and use it many, many times. So we move on to the license. So I got all this information, and you can get the same information off of www.ot.alabama.gov/rules.aspx right there on the PowerPoint stuff. So the Alabama State Board of OT issues a state or jurisdiction documentation indicating permission to practice. The eligibility for a licensure is you must be a U.S. citizen or have proper legal documentations that are completed, that have been completed, and that you have passed the certification exam as well as an accredited OT program and completed all the full field work successfully. Alright, steps for a limited permit licensure, also known as a temporary license. To complete a temporary license, you have to complete the proper forms, which are proof of name, address, phone number, as well as the business name that you are going to be working for, and the supervising certified OT and their accreditations. You also need to have a letter of verification, which for a non-certified applicant must request a letter of verification from their curriculum director program approved by a OTA stating that applicant has successfully completed educational and field requirements and is eligible to make the certification exam. And then after that, you would need to get the letter of supervision. So basically just saying that each applicant must submit the letter from the OT supervisor confirming supervision while practicing under the limited permit or the temporary license. So this temporary license does expire in 120 days after issuance, or upon failure of the examination of MBCOT exam. And then how to apply to after you have passed your exam. So this is your rodeo license. You'll have to complete the proper forms again. The proof of name, address, phone number, business name, supervising OT, a statement saying if, basically like a little background check form. You'll submit the forms, and then you'll have to have a letter of verification again. It will be different, so just request a letter of verification issued by the MBCOT stating that the person has met the requirements and has passed the the exam. Alright, steps for the renewal of a license. So the renewal license, it is either annually or biannually. So it is 60 days prior to expiration. You do need to start doing that process, or else there are no promises by the licensor that it will be completed by the time that it does expire. So make sure you have plenty of days before you do that so they can complete them in enough time. And as well, you do have to submit the proper forms. Like I was saying, it's just basically the same forms as the limited permit and the actual license, as well as turning them in. And so onto the CEUs. So when renewing it, you will have to submit proof of continuing education classes, just the classes offered to gain more information. So as for your license, you do have to submit proof of either 1.0 CEUs or equals out to 10 contact hours. That's annually, or if it is biannually, it's 2.0 CEUs or 20 contact hours. And then the next thing I want to talk about is PDUs, Professional Development Units, which an OTA has to complete 36 of them in 3 years. And that is more for your certification renewal. Okay, the cost of a license. The license fee is $115. The limited or the temporary license fee is $25. The renewal fee is $115, and a late renewal fee is an added $50. Alrighty, I said I was going to review the activity page, and here it is. You can pause, check. If I'm going too fast, you can just pause it and check it. We did go over each definition. Alright, and as I was saying, like I said, pause it and check it. We did go over all of it, and those are the answers up there in the correct thing and correct spelling way. Alright, I hope that you learned a lot during this presentation, and I'm so glad that you listened to the whole thing, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.